reality. Dr. Maisara Al-Rayes, to your right, was one of my medical students in Al-Assad. He was a brilliant student. He was the head of IFMSA Gaza, the students' organization, international organization. He was killed with his family. His wife survived. His two brothers, his mother, father, and two sisters were all killed. He worked as a doctor. He went and had a scholarship here in London. He was given opportunity to work here, but he went back to Gaza. And he is one of the more than 1,000 healthcare workers being killed in cold blood by the Israeli occupation forces. So bless them and their souls, and they will continue to kill them because medicine is such an important part of the resistance. To your left is one of these fantastic medical students that we've been talking about. I got this picture from my good friend, Dr. K. I cannot name him. He's an orthopedic surgeon in Al-Aqsa Hospital in Gaza. And he actually put so much emphasis on the work of these students. But I was saying something in the beginning about our outlook, our foundation. How do we look at the Palestinian people? Now, I think this picture is so important. If you look at this man, you can see his failure. He's lost one leg. But you can see his power. He has created this fantastic picture in sand on the beach of Gaza. And he's standing tall on his one leg. And he is actually showing the victory sign made by Winston Churchill and the Palestinian flag. And the way we look at us, the way we, the white pre-colonialists, look at the Palestinian people is incredibly important because we still have this attitude which is saturating the international relief industry. And I fear that not only in medicine, but also in education, this colonialism will reappear and try to take over, because it is really these people that need to be in charge. The Palestinian healthcare workers, the Palestinian researchers, doctors, professors, deans, they must be at the steering wheel. And all our support must be starting by asking them, how do you want us to support you? These are, of course, the incredibly brave people at Nasser Hospital. And don't forget, the Israeli occupation army has killed almost 11,000 students in Gaza, almost 700 of them being graduate students, higher education and medical students, wounded 16,300. And these are numbers both from the Palestinian Ministry of Education and this recent report that you have to read, which is called Resilience in the Rubble, from the Swiss Peace Institute and from the Islamic University in Gaza. These are the heroes. And when you hear about healthcare in Gaza, you always hear some white people telling about how difficult it is. I'm being interviewed almost daily on Arab news. Why? Because I'm white, I'm blonde, I'm blue-eyed, and I can be trusted. Why not the Palestinian surgeon? Why not Dr. Youssef Abrish? Raise your hand, those of you who know who Youssef Abrish is. Who knows who Youssef Abrish is? Well, he is the Minister of Health in Gaza. And he's never interviewed. Why? Because colonialism prevails. So these are the heroes. And this picture I took in 2014. These are the young medical doctors. I could have had tens of pictures of female doctors who work night and day. And they've done that for the 17 years of siege and the 6 different massive attacks on Gaza. And we never hear about them. So the brave young Palestinian medical students now, standing tall, there is between 200 and 250, and Tarek, you have to correct me, I got these numbers from our colleagues in Gaza, that have been and are the volunteer crisis doctors in Gaza. They're 4th to 6th year, and they have been fulfilling duties like full-on doctors, from the emergency room to inpatient checkup rounds, to dressing, casting, suturing, even finding themselves doing quite substantial surgery under guidance, of course. And this is the quote from Dr. K, a senior orthopedic surgeon in Al-Aqsa Hospital. He says, these medical students are brilliant, dedicated, devoted, fast learners with high ethics and morals. They know fights and unknown future as the universities have been destroyed, yet still finding a way to do what they love, being doctors, serving their people. These are the people that we are going to support.
The one in the middle is my cousin, actually.
Come on.
I saw him, my cousin.
Yeah. Need is the mother of invention. This is a paper we just got published in the Lancet, Graham. It's 13 pages. And the first author, Khaled Al-Sayed, was a student at the Islamic University. And the last author, Usaid Al-Sayed, was my medical student in Al-Aqsa University. And these were cousins. And the first author, Khaled, was the leading surgeon. He had to be that in Nasser Hospital when they were besieged and attacked. And they conducted very advanced surgery with the support of this video system that we established. He was captured. He was taken prisoner in one of the concentration camps. He was tortured. He came back after months, 10 kilos smaller, but went straight right back to clinical work. So it is possible, ma'am, to get access even to the 4 big ones. Not so much on the US side, JAMA and New England, but British Medical and Lancet. Yes, we have to push them and read this paper because it's full of innovation, it's full of strength, and these two first and last authors are brilliant young medical doctors coming from the education in Gaza. So scholarships are tools of the future, and the main things that this report points to is that there is so much debt on the tuition fees and the universities because of lack of framing from the financial side, need the tuition fees, decrease in tuition fees all the time, and if you end medical school without having paid your tuition fee, you don't get a certificate and you can't repay your debt. So this is a very vicious circle that we need to address. And then my last point, there are so many initiatives. Do you know about this, PSSF? Probably not, because it's on the other side of the Atlantic. This is the Palestinian Student Scholarship Fund. I've been there on fundraisers. They raised $1 to $1.5 million on their fundraisers, and their goal is actually to pay their debt, as they say, that they owe to our motherland so that the young can educate. And this Gaza initiative, they want to raise $10 million over 5 years for scholarship to the medical students in Gaza. We need coordination. We can't sit on each island or each continent. We need coordination. And again, I end now, the future of Palestine. It's of course justice, freedom, end to the occupation, and education. And look at this guy. He is one of these heroic men.
My classmate, yeah.
Your classmate. Look at it.
He's in Pakistan now.
Yes, and they are not only fierce clinicians, and of course these 300 ones who have been doing this job should be immediately recruited as teaching assistants, because they can teach the younger ones, but they are also leaders of high quality. So my important points when it comes to the recommendations from this report and my own points of view, we need a massive upscaling of direct support to Gaza's academic institutions. Direct financial support to, in particular, Al-Assad and Islamic University, and for us, of course, medical school. We need to secure coordination of all these different worldwide initiatives. We don't run in our legs, as we say in Norwegian, but that we have a coordinated effort. It needs to be Palestinian leadership. Palestinian leadership, always, and this is a fantastic possibility. To nurture Palestinian unity. And what is feared most of all by the occupiers and their masters in Pentagon is Palestinian unity. Education and medicine is the perfect territory for Palestinian unity. We need to focus Palestinian resilience in education, not look at them as sort of victims, but as leaders that we can learn from. We need to look at the students like Tarek and his brothers and sisters as resources, not as clients. And we need to use the students more and find new methods of teaching, be innovative, maybe change parts of the curriculum, maybe less sort of in the auditorium teaching and more practical teaching, more group teaching. We can make this situation a sort of a turning point for the didactics of training medical students. And we need to also rely on the network of medical students internationally, because they're crazy to support you. So don't go for the dean, go for the IFMSA at the universities. And in that way, we can actually be part of the power of the medical community and the medical students and the universities in Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to put questions to the audience. Can I just say that it's a pity that Sam is not with us, but he gave a talk at the London School of Hygiene and Medicine last week, along with Francesca Albanese, where he pretty much said what you just said, Matt, emphasising that the public health institutions that have stayed quiet during the genocide can't just assume that they have a lead role when it comes to so-called ethical rebuilding. And he made the point that the sovereignty was key and that the Palestinian voice had to be heard. And I don't know whether it's on YouTube yet, but I can't imagine it won't be. It's 10 minutes of Hassan, well worth accepting this country.
Going to put some questions to the audience. Somewhere with a microphone is going around. So maybe
One.
okay, you'll just have to shout. Oh, okay, great. I have a question here, sorry. Oh, okay, the lady with the beret has a microphone, so I'll let her start the first one.
I think I can shout.
No, go ahead.
Given the experiences of the whole medical team, nurses and students and doctors, in very unusual wounds, unusual circumstances, I would imagine that those people would have an amazing amount of experience to teach the entire medical profession throughout the world. And my second point, that I'm a lawyer, so I'm interested from that point of view, given that the Israelis have used very, very forbidden arsenal and very new experimental biological chemical warfare agents and so on, I would imagine there needs to be a cooperation between the doctors who are on the ground, who have witnessed extraordinary wounds and so on, with legal teams to prepare a sort of schedule of the sort of wounds that would constitute crimes against humanity and forbidden under this and that legislation and so on.
I mentioned briefly, yes, we are very proud of their level of knowledge, as you said, but we want to keep their medical college to the standard of recognition. So that's why we insisted that they should go through the normal syllabus they go on during their normal time. But yes, as an individual, especially the students who are actively, who are supporting in hospitals, they will be, for example, supporting in plastic, but they don't know what's happening in orthopedic. They are supporting in orthopedic, they don't know what's in medicine. So we still need to bridge that knowledge. And that's why we insisted in our meeting that they should go, the same way they are going during their normal time. And now they are doing double duties. They are going and attending their training, they are doing services. So we make it more difficult for them, and they are up to that level. Fortunately, they have done so well that you will hear us in a statement coming in February or March that many of those students, they will be graduated and they become a doctors, the 6-year student, and all other years they will be promoted to the next year. And I can tell you, this is not an easy thing. And those people, they were difficult with each other as well. They are not difficult with the opposition. They are difficult with each other. They kept the standard so strong. I've heard a lot of complaint. I got Dr. Lubani, I give it to him, that they are so strict with them in everything till this moment. They want them to be like, one of the students was saying to me, Doctor, they think that they don't know that we have war. They want them to attend all the lectures, they want to attend all the training, they want the standard of exams. We will show you some films later. I have heard this, Khalid has left, I think. I have heard this from a number of people who examined here in the UK and examined there. And I was surprised, but when I saw it myself, now I understand what you are talking about. The level of the student there is really very high, as Tariq was saying, and we are very proud of that. And I think, we want to continue the same so that nobody can, you are a lawyer, can say, oh, they were in war, how they were studying. No, they were in war, they were studying and they were treating.
Can I interrupt? Just
to your point about illegal weapons, of course, we need to discuss that. But this happens every time Israel is involved. They use some white phosphorus, which is not illegal, but it is illegal to use it against humans. You can use it as smoke screen. And they have some sort of secret kind of, very strange weapons. That takes the attention away from the massive use of illegal weapons against civilians, like the tom bombs that they drop on refugee camps, like the collective starvation by imposing siege, which is illegal, like the collective punishment. There is plenty for you lawyers already to document and to show what the...
Just to follow up on that, just to reassure you that a large amount of the evidence that has gone to the International Criminal Court and has formed the basis for those charges has come from healthcare workers who have been indicted.
I'm not talking about the wounds and for various obvious reasons, but the NCDs, the non-communicable diseases, are astronomically high and are not getting enough attention yet. People are trying. That's what I was trying to look at when I was there. So it's a plea also to remember that what's happening with other illnesses is also part of those war crimes. And it's a terrifying mix of perfect environment for infections and for wound, lack of wound healing, starvation and dehydration, and then added to that the trauma. So let's think of holistically what's happened.
just to make you aware that the support is with us. So if you want
Well,
to
there
have
was a question to Dr. Sutherland. You had a question?
Sorry, can I speak?
Yeah.
Now? Hello?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hi,
I'll come back to you.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the organisers of this meeting because I think it's generated a lot of ideas and networking and a sort of moral boost because we in the medical profession, we started our careers wanting to help people, and the helplessness which is displayed amongst many of my colleagues who want to speak up but are silent, as Professor Nick Maynard just said. I'm an Oxford consultant. I've been a teacher for many years. I'm in the Oxford region, and I'm also associate professor for American University of Caribbean. And the only reason I've said all those things is because I think we all have a duty to utilise our positions to help and support and grow the network. And thanks to my cousin Jamal, who gave me the information about this meeting, because actually this meeting wasn't very well publicised. I've sent it to lots of people, but we just need to grow the network. And I'd like to ask the question really of any of the panel to say, our duty as medical practitioners, as leaders, as advocates for people who are helpless, that is being sabotaged by our own government. So the only chink of light in the armour I can see in the British Medical Journal, I saw IOF being referred to Israeli Occupation Force instead of IDF. Now, I don't know if that was a fake news or something, but I want to ask, in the UK setting, what can we do as medical professionals to voice our support for the people of Gaza, and how can we do that without being discriminated against or being labelled as anti-Semitic? I'm sorry, it's a very long question, and I probably don't think you can probably have an answer in one sitting.
I think we could have a session about how can we help in the next session, more detail.
Well, the good point is to do it collectively with others, not individually, because individuals are easily taken out, whereas collectively we have a stronger voice. We've done that in Scotland, and it's turned a loose, scattered network of individuals into quite a powerful group.
And we've been interacting with the health minister, with the government. It's not perfect, but I think there is definitely power in coming together, and an environment in Scotland which is less antagonistic, I think, as well. Can I also say, just to take care of each other? You know, I'm putting my head on as a holistic practitioner. I think it is hard, that helplessness feeling. Part of that is imposed by the structures, for sure, but part of it is actually a response to suffering. So, you know, the individuals, the solidarity is important to keep ourselves healthy and strong, as well as we support the best we can our Palestinian colleagues. So to stay strong and to stay healthy as we carry on that solidarity.
Thank you so much for this inspiring and encouraging talk. Touched me every time I heard stories from my colleagues in Palestine and Gaza and Lebanon. I'm myself very active in different aspects of activism and advocacy for Palestine. I just wanted to share attention and I was wondering your reflection on that. So I work both on the streets in the encampments. I ask our universities to cut the ties, to tell the truth to power, to tell our government that they should not, my government's Netherlands, that they should not be sending arms to Israel. And at the same time, I also have conversations with my deans of the medical faculty asking for aid, for medical aid, for helping out medical education. And I feel that having the same conversation is very difficult because they don't want me to ask them medical questions, and they might be willing to go for medical aid. So how do you deal with that tension? Now I'm doing everything. And how do you deal with that tension if you feel it as well? And how do you see different organizations should work together to get the goal in the end? Because we want justice, we want political action, and we want direct aid. Go ahead, yes?
Very brief answer. Don't be alone. Network. Find friends, find allies, find other colleagues, and approach your societies. We have the medical societies. We have the societies of nursing, of doctors. Approach them and challenge them on the double standards on Ukraine and Palestine. And demand that they make clear standings, clear declarations, and then you go back to your government. I mean, it takes time. But the Palestinians have been fighting since 48, and we just joined in. So let's be patient and try to do as much as we can by not being alone. I agree we need to comfort each other, but my most comforting thing is to talk to my friends in Gaza, actually, because they give me strength.
I did have a question for Dr. Zuber earlier. I can ask it now. Dr. Zuber, to what degree are the medical schools in Gaza recognized internationally, and how has this recognition been affected by the war? Can you hear me?
No.
Yes. Maybe.
Maybe the question. So, to what degree the recognition, international recognition for this medical education in Gaza is? Can you hear me? الزوم سامعني؟ سامع listen you. ايش مستوى التعليم في غزة؟ كيف مستوى التعليم في غزة موثق ومحمي دوليا؟
You know about the level of medical education in Gaza Strip. It's, I think, very high standard because we encourage very high in Tawjihi finished years, more the best students learning on the medical school. After that, we finish our students and many students work on many countries, such as United States, such as UK. Example, we have Yasin Al-Asqal, the director, now on director board on Illinois University of United States. The last week, our student, Uday Hamad, finished the exam on the Royal Surgery College for 3 months on past 2 exams, first part and second part on UK surgeon, and he have high score, 175 score, it's very high, and the little time doing this. We have many students on the world, and also China, United States, UK, Germany. It is all the time need field, no any time one student failed on his exam in other country.
I think we had a conversation about this yesterday, and you explained to me that the standards are it's UK standards, but the different choice of
I think
modular
also
approach.
Professor Matt Gilbert visit our college every year. He sees our level, our students. All the students better than our teachers, our professor technology.
I'm sure that's good. You can join us after the break. Can I leave it for you to wrap up? And if there is any more questions from the, I know you.
Tarek just wants to say something first.
I think we need to wrap up with my suggestion. I know you're.
It's not our essay, so I wonder if it would be really beneficial.
Do you mind if I give a question for Tarek? Can we catch up on the break after that?
So I'm from Students for Global Health UK, and we have been part of the support for Palestine in the Urban Essay. I'm not sure, Matt, if you're referring to the social media campaign Liberation done by PAMSA, or you're referring to the action to suspend Israel, which happened in the General Assembly in August. And it's important to note that that was because of the actions of the president of the Israeli Medical Students Association. And that was something we were involved in. I would say with Ziad, we were in the room together when that motion passed, when it was voted in, and helped with the organising behind it. After that motion, I think it's important that we wanted to do as much as we could as the UK, because we realised we were privileged not just in the world, but also in Europe. There were many student organisations from different countries in Europe, especially more in Eastern Europe, who were under intense pressure from their governments not to speak up. And we're quite privileged that we don't even have that pressure. And we then faced the other problem of the lobbying power of the European student organisations, which number 33, versus the Eastern Mediterranean regional organisations that number only 11, even if they actually enumerate more medical schools and more students. While this was an incredibly meaningful step for medical students, while it might be small for the world, it was very meaningful for the people there. But we were wondering afterwards, there was a backlash in journalism, in the media, the organisation was labelled anti-Semitic. There was pressure from the WHO, there wasn't pressure from the WHO, but we were led to believe that there had been. How, when it is students facing very large external pressures, who can we reach out to? How can we get support in this arena, where there are a lot of highly valued medical students and people who will be very important in one generation's time.
Would you want to answer?
I think I have this.
Oh, you have done?
Yeah. No, I think in the old times we had really struggled a lot having this thing. I remember my brother had struggled a lot for more than a year in one of the cases. But I think now we have good support with lawyers from Palestine. And I think the Turkmenistan case with GMC was a good example of what's happening. So I think it's good that we have a body at least which we can approach. And they are really good, and they're very well connected, and they know exactly, they know. I mean, it's yeah, the ICGS, and so they can help the people, especially in these circumstances, even kind of advise or just raising a case or something like this. So I think we are really lucky at this time as part of the solidarity and the reaction of what's happening since October 7th. So that's, I think we are lucky in this time that we got this support. At least I know in the UK we have it.
Thank you. I will recommend all questions either be postponed to the end of the next session, or can be discussed with the panels directly during the break. Otherwise, you guys not have seen something, and we did paper.
What time do we back?
We need to be back at 4 o'clock, please.